Hey everyone, it's great to be back here at ASU+GSV. Since given my roots in AI and education, this has always felt like a bit of a home, and it's very kind of Michael and Deborah to have me back again. What I want to do today is share with you some AI technology trends that I think are affecting education, and more specifically, AI technology is leading to changes in terms of what we teach, and maybe the obvious one is we need more people to learn computer science and AI, as well as how we teach it. And AI, as you've seen over the last few days, is really transforming the workflows of a lot of the work that we do in education. And one other thing I hope you take away from this presentation is fast prototyping is becoming a new way to invent things. And this will be relevant, I think, to many of you, either in entrepreneurship or in large businesses or in academia. But first, let's start with what we teach. I think because of AI-assisted coding, the opportunities to learn to code, I think the world needs more people that know how to code. Many years ago, some friends of mine at Stanford told me of an experience that they had doing a lot of work to teach some high school teachers to code, so that the high school teachers teaching other subjects would then teach computer science. What happened? They told me that almost predictably, the high school teachers would quit their job and get a much higher paying job at Google. So that didn't completely work out. But on Saturday, I was speaking with Kyle Creasley, who is actually a basketball coach, graduated with a bachelor's degree in physical education, and he's now the coach for the Liberty Creek Wolves basketball team. And he has been working with Cure Learning, a company that AI Fund, my team is involved in, to teach computer science. So he went from doing this, and still does this, to additionally also sitting in the classroom teaching computer science. And I actually asked him, what are you most excited about? What's most fun about teaching computer science? And he actually showed me a chart that he had generated with code that he wrote himself, where he took statistics from his players to plot 3-point volumes versus 3-point percentages and show of his kids, who was doing what. And I thought he's a very good basketball coach. Frankly, talking to him, he made me want to play more basketball, which I don't know if I should. But this is a basketball coach who got an endorsement in math, but now teaching computer science, when 2 years ago, he'd never written a line of Python. So how do you make that happen? I think that AI creates a lot of opportunities, including some surprising ones, like the ones with Kyle. But taking the macro level picture, this is what I think of as an AI stack. At the lowest level are the semiconductor companies. On top of that are the clouds, so the hyperscalers, and then there are the foundation AI models trained on top of that. And even though a lot of the buzz and hype is on all of these layers, often happens when it's technology, new technology, I think the biggest opportunities are actually at the application layer, where almost by definition, the applications had better generate even more revenue, in order for the technology providers, or in order for them to be able to pay the technology providers. And quick shout out, I see Daphne from Common Sense Media here, who does a lot of privacy work for schools. And I think the applications, almost by definition, had to be even more successful, even more revenue generating than the technology providers that are getting so much of the buzz. And in terms of applications, I think many of you have already heard about Coursera Coach. I think it's a very good product. Kind of chatbot, RAG-enabled, context-aware to help students. I know many businesses have since launched related products, but I think having students also practice quizzes, also course summaries. Coursera's data is that this actually helps learners more likely to pass quiz on first attempt, and learners actually work through items significantly faster that use a tutor, that use a Coursera coach like this. So a lot of applications we can build, of which Coursera Coach is just one example. And with so much going on in AI, I want to share with you what I think is maybe the one most important AI technology trend, which I think is agentic AI workflows. About a year and a half ago, to the technical community, the term agentic AI used to have a meaning, but I think 6-8 months ago, a bunch of marketers got a hold of it and started slapping on everything, and it kind of lost its meaning. But I want to share with you how the AI technical community maybe thinks about agentic workflows and why I think it's important. So it turns out that when you use a large language model and write a prompt to get a response, that's a bit like going to a human, or in this case, going to an AI and asking it, please type out an essay for me by writing from the first word to the last word, all in one go without ever using backspace. And humans, we don't do our best writing like this, and it turns out nor do computers. But in contrast, with agentic workflows, you can do things like ask an AI system, please write an essay outline, then ask you to do any research, then download some web pages, use that to write the first draft, revise it, and so on. And so the workflow looks like this, where you do some thinking or some research, and then revise your piece, and then do some more thinking, and you go like this for a while. So it takes longer, but it results in a much higher quality work output. So my team at AI Fund, we find this absolutely critical for tons of applications, be it reviewing tricky legal documents to providing better healthcare or health recommendations, or frankly, we actually have a startup working on tariff compliance, which suddenly became very relevant this week. But for a lot of these complex workflows, agentic workflows are critical to reaching a much higher level of performance. And maybe one example of this, Coursera has a course builder feature, which is quite popular with many of its enterprise large businesses that want to take existing content created by trusted authoritative sources and reassemble this to become a course that meets the needs of a particular team or business. So you can go in and type what's the course topic, what are the learning objectives, can find content from Coursera's catalog, created by trusted authorities. In this case, I told it to use my course, GenSV for everyone. Take the content, rearrange it, present a new learner view, and so create a new course by rearranging existing items, which for higher education and adult professional education, I think is very helpful to have trusted authorities on cutting-edge topics and then assemble that into brand new experiences for learners. And I think I feel like I want to share with you what I'm seeing in AI, but also related to education. But so in terms of what I see in AI, I actually would present an update to this picture of the AI stack, which is over the last year, there's been increasingly a new agentic orchestration layer that means that there's software that helps you build applications, and the software will help you coordinate or orchestrate a lot of different calls to the layers underneath. But this does not actually change the basic conclusion I had just now, which is that the application layer has got to be the most valuable layer on some time scale, but the agentic orchestration layer makes it even easier to build these applications on top. So if someone asks you what's the most important AI technology trend, I would say is AI agents or agentic AI. But there's so much going on in AI, I actually thought I'd share with you a few other important trends I think will affect EdTech. And I actually started off with a list of 9, but didn't have time, so I decided to cut it down to just what I thought would be the most 4 relevant additional trends to share with you, which is AI assistants enabling everyone to code, fast prototyping, voice stack, and data engineering. I'll hit each of these briefly. And the first one affects what we teach, and the second, third, and fourth affect more how we teach. So first, AI assistants enabling everyone to code. So even last year and this year, there have been some people advising others not to learn coding on the grounds that AI will automate it. I think we'll look back on this as some of the worst career advice ever given. When coding went from punch cards to keyboards and terminals, that made coding easier, so a lot more people started to code. Actually, in that time, in that era, in the 1960s, there were some people predicting the demise of coding because if you don't need punch cards, it's so easy. Anyone could do it, so you don't need programmers anymore. And then again, we moved from assembly to modern programming languages, demise of programming was predicted, again, false. When it became easier, more people wrote code. Went from text editors to IDEs, integrated development environments, most recently to AI coding assistants, or even something called vibe coding, which is a term that maybe isn't a great description, but refers to writing code with AI where you sometimes barely even look at the code. And as coding becomes easier, people should code a lot more. And what I'm already seeing is, for certain teams that are not software engineering roles, people that know how to code significantly outperform people that don't. And I think we've actually crossed the barrier where maybe on my teams, the marketers that code often can do tons of stuff that the marketers don't. The recruiters that code can do tons of things that the recruiters that don't. I don't know, a few weeks ago, the Associate General Counsel of AI Fund, he's a lawyer, not a software engineer, he was writing code to help him screen NDAs, right? It's one of the annoying parts of his job, reading tons of partner non-disclosure agreements. So he was writing code. And so my Associate General Counsel, my finance, my head of finance, a number of my marketing team members, many of them that are not software engineers are now much more effective because they know how to code. And I think we've actually reached that tipping point where it makes sense to, frankly, get pretty much everyone to learn how to code. Oh, maybe another fun fact, everyone at AI Fund, pretty much everyone at AI Fund has a GitHub account, and pretty much everyone knows how to, write code, deploy to Heroku, and things like that. And I actually see an increasing performance gap between the team members that know how to code and the ones that don't. And I think this gap will only grow over time, driven by AI assistants making it so much easier to code. And just one more story that really convinced me of this, which is that when I was teaching Generative AI for Everyone, it's a deep learning AI course hosted on Coursera, my team wanted to generate background art images like this, right, for decoration. And so I was working with a collaborator that understood art history. So he knew the language of art. He knew how to prompt Midjourney using the language of art, the artistic inspiration, the palette, the style. And so he could get results like this. Whereas I don't understand art history the way that he did. And so my attempts to prompt Midjourney were, please make pretty robots of pictures for me. And I was never as effective as my collaborator, Tommy, at generating artwork like this. So looking to the future, one of the most important skills for anyone is the ability to tell a computer exactly what you want so they can do it for you. And now and for the quite some time, I think having that deeper understanding of how computers actually work at a kind of a coding conceptual level will be critical for anyone, not just software engineers, but really anyone, to know how to instruct a computer to tell what they want so that it can do it for them and make them much more powerful in a huge range of job roles. And I think one of the things I believe as well, this is a deep learning AI course also on Coursera, is to teach people to code in this new reality. I think the way we used to teach software engineering 2-3 years ago, no one's going to work the way we did 2 years ago in coding, right? The world has changed. And so when I teach coding, this is our platform with me giving lectures, coding environment. We actually try to teach what we think the future of work will be. So we don't prepare people even for the jobs today, but prepare people for the jobs, now and in the near future where you will be developing with AI as a pair programmer, as a thought partner. So we try to explicitly teach people how to use chatbots and how to use AI in their workflow. All right. Oh, and I think I hadn't talked much about deep learning AI before at this stage, but deep learning AI goes to empower everyone to build with AI. I think we're really fortunate to be working with, I think, pretty much all of the leading AI companies. This is a vendor-neutral, empowerment platform. We're fortunate to work with pretty much everyone, all the leading AI companies, to share cutting-edge knowledge with the community. All right. So that was AI-assisted coding, hopefully soon enabling everyone to code. Another important tool is fast prototyping as a mechanism for innovation. Let me share what I mean by that. When I think about software engineering, I think of maybe two major buckets of work. Sometimes, if we have an idea, we build a quick and dirty prototype to see if it works. And then sometimes my teams also write or maintain production-level software. It turns out AI-assisted coding, depending on what study you trust, and I've not found very rigorous ones, but depending on what consultant report you trust, maybe it's making writing and maintaining large-scale production software, updating legacy software, I don't know, 30 or 50% more efficient, which is huge. Right? Definitely, let's use AI to help with this. But even though 30 or 50% productivity boost is huge, this is still dwarfed by building quick and dirty prototypes, which is more like 10 times faster. And I think in Silicon Valley, we had the mantra, right? Move fast and break things, and this had a bad reputation. Don't take a picture of this one, because I need to change it. And I think some people said, well, we should not move fast, but I think that's a mistake. All right, now I've crossed it out, you can take this picture, don't get in trouble. I think a better update to this mantra is to move fast and be responsible. And I actually do find that a lot of teams can find ways to move fast, to ship to small groups of users in a safe environment, and really get things going without being irresponsible and without taking significant risk in terms of harming other people. And in terms of why building prototypes is so fast, it turns out building standalone prototypes and applications requires less legacy integration with legacy data sources infra. And frankly, when my teams are building prototypes, I will often tell them, go ahead and build insecure software. If it runs only on your laptop and you're not going to hack into your own laptop, it's fine if you have insecure software. I know I feel like every time I say that, I feel like someone's going to criticize me for that. But I tell my teams, write insecure software. If you're the only one using it and you don't plan to hack your own computer, it's fine. But that lets us prototype very quickly with low reliability, low scalability, low security. And then a lot of the time we go, oh, that doesn't work, and we toss it and never sees the light of day. And only if it works, then do we invest in all the things needed to take it to scale. And I see also many large enterprises now starting to think, maybe we can systematically build 20 prototypes, and if that's the price of finding 2 that work really well, that's fine, so long as the cost of prototyping is low. So I don't regret that many POCs never make into production, if that's an explicit part strategy of how we quickly innovate. A lot more to say about this, but this is important for large corporate innovations as well as how startups operate. Let's see, moving on. I think third trend, voice stack. I think it would be very useful for education. I saw a number of applications already. Building voice applications is much easier than it used to be a year ago. And I think there are 2 main technology options. One is direct generation. I think OpenAI did a really nice job with the real-time API, and many companies are actually right now, maybe not yet released, but I know many companies are training better direct voice generation applications, foundation models. So it'll become even easier over this year. I'm actually very confident of that. But it turns out that while this is great for building prototypes and demos and for low stakes conversations, we found that direct voice generation, at least right now, is not as controllable as we want for the high stakes conversations. We kind of don't want to say the wrong thing too often. And so for a lot of applications, my team ended up using this type of voice pipeline-based generation, where we convert the speech to text, have an LM agentic workflow to think what to say, and then have that be read back out as speech. And it turns out that for a lot of applications, figuring out what to say, that turned out to be, frankly, quite challenging. Just for fun, this is an avatar of me. Hey, how can I help you today?
I'm attending the ASU+GSV conference. What tips do you have for making this a productive trip?
ASU+GSV is a great conference. Here are some tips to make the most of it. First, plan ahead. Review the agenda and schedule and prioritize the sessions and speakers you want to see. Next, come prepared with business cards and an elevator pitch. You never know who you'll meet. Take notes and follow up with new contacts within 24 hours. Also, be open to unexpected conversations and connections. Some of the best opportunities can come from chance encounters. Lastly, don't forget to take breaks. All right, I find talking to my own avatar a really weird experience, but if you want to talk to me in avatar form, you could please play with this. And I think this creates new opportunities as well, maybe new modalities. And it turns out that we worked on this for like a year and a half now. Even now, we still struggle to make it say the similar words as I would. Make it sound like me in terms of pronunciation. Yeah, we could do that. The graphics is doable, but make it choose words the way that I would. That's actually been surprisingly difficult. We're still working on that. Last trend, I think data engineering. This would be relevant to a lot of schools. So data engineering has always been quite important, but its management of unstructured data, meaning text, images, video, audio, is even more important than before. Because previously, we had a lot of PDF files or images or text that we didn't know how to process. It just sat there in some data warehouse, and we didn't do that much with it. But AI, generative AI, can now process this data to get value out of it. So this is increasing the relative value of bringing siloed data together to feed to the AI, because AI can now make sense of a lot of this. So I actually see many large businesses doing very large data re-architecting issues, not just for the structured data, the numbers, but for the unstructured data. I think this would be important as well. All right, so in terms of all of these trends in AI, I think that collectively, speaking of various people earlier at this conference as well, I think all of us collectively are really trying to think, where is education going? I think higher ed and adult continuing education are very different than K-12, but I want to share with you some work by Kira Learning that I mentioned before that I think is actually really exciting. So I've been working closely with the founders, Andre Pazanetti and Jagrati Agarwal and the team. They don't want me to point them out because they're very humble, but they're actually here. But I think that, I actually made this video last night. This is a demo of Kira Learning's AI toolkit showing lessons. So I typed lesson on functions illustrated using monster truck examples. My son loves monster trucks, so I thought, let's try that. 8th grade, select the APCS standard. So check a couple of the standards. And then, let's see. So you can hyper-personalize. My son likes Monster Truck for some weird reason, so I threw that in. So this is a set of learning targets, learning objectives. Go on the right, I'm typing, add a learning target on debugging. What did I say last night? Oh, illustrative race cars that my son also likes. And then it takes the learning targets and edits it. You can also go in and just type directly yourself, but I thought just prompt it and have it fix it for me. I like the learning targets. Let me hit generate outline. I did edit the video to speed up the spinning wheels a little bit, just by not that much, but just to speed up this a little bit. Here's the generated lessons, and including, and then now, let's see. This is a lesson outline, sorry. It said encourage peer review. Maybe in my classroom, if I don't want peer review, I just say, review it carefully, right? So here I'm editing directly. But you can also prompt the AI to do it if you don't want to edit directly. And now I'm happy with the outline. Hit generate the entire lesson, and then different parts of the lesson with some quizzes and so on, and also generate a code for the students to learn these types of coding experiences. And I feel like, by the way, Kyle, the basketball coach, is able to use tools like these to help his development course. Oh, this is a debugging exercise. So the AI, we told it to generate buggy code. I couldn't help myself. I have to fix bugs. So I went to the student view, and kind of, right. So this is a student view of if the student is consuming the content and taking this course, right? I could run the code if I want, but just to save time. One of the neat features, if I'm an instructor that's not very familiar with CS, is this any good or not? So one of the features as well is the eval feature, where you have AI automatically evaluate its own work to try to judge how good it is. And then you can also ask the AI to fix its own problems that it found if you haven't generated the content yet. So I think these complex agentic workflows really set up teachers for success. When I was chatting with Kyle, the instructor I mentioned at the start, he actually mentioned to me that he's been teaching some math. He had to do a ton of work doing prep for math, but teaching CS this way, he actually had less time less prep was needed for his CS courses, even though frankly, he's much newer to teaching CS than to teaching math. And just to show you one more thing. So just as the workflow of educators is very diverse, the tools we need to support educators, to support students will be very diverse. This is why AI, as a general purpose technology, will do many, many different tasks, just like human teachers and human students do many, many different tasks. I'll just show you one other one that's really cool. I think at this meeting, we've heard a lot about chatbots to support students. This is one to support teachers. So this is the instructor interface. I click teach. I'm in a lesson on naming variables. And I'm going to click student support, so you can see the work, of different students. So it looks like Archie Erickson has it right. The student CC has some bugs in his or her code, and so the variable, now you can see this, one best dessert is wrong. But if I was an instructor, I'm not quite sure why is this wrong. What do I do to the student? I can go and ask for help, and now the AI has told me, oh, the student doesn't seem to understand invalid variable names, and also is telling me, why don't you, the teacher, go and ask the student, what happens if you change the first character of one best dessert? So if I, as a teacher, am not sure exactly what to do, the AI doesn't give the answer to the student, but you give the answer to me as a teacher, and then also be very direct in suggesting something I could just go say to the student. So some of the feedback teams receive is teachers really like these very specific suggestions they can just execute. And then also, I guess, as expected, teachers also can use these tools to learn to code better themselves, right? So just to summarize, I think AI is a general purpose technology. These are some of the key trends that make it even easier to build a huge range of applications in AI. And I think AI is changing what we teach. We are at the point where I would love for the next generation to all know how to code, to all know AI, because this will be an important tool for all of our children growing up to really master and use throughout their lives. And additionally, teaching has a very complex workflow, and AI is a wonderful tool to build many, many things to transform many parts of how we deliver education as well. And I think when you go home after this conference and you go back, talk to your friends, talk to teams, this is really such a such a wonderful time to build. I find myself, frankly, coding pretty much every weekend because my team has a lot more ideas than we have capacity or anything to get working. So I just still code. decent amount. And I just want to close with one quote, which is, chatted to a call last week who's using a Cure Learning platform, and you can check out the Cure Learning website. You want to sign up for beta access to see the features I was demoing just now. I actually asked Carl, why do you do this and what do you want to do? He said, I want to keep teaching CS, I have a wide knowledge of this topic. I want to progress is teaching even more advanced topics like cybersecurity and web design. He wants to help students go deeper and further in this subject. And I was actually really inspired that this basketball coach, who's a great coach, is now so passionate about CS to be doing this for his students. And while CS is the one subject I showed, Cure Learning is expanding to many subjects across K-12. And I think we'll be, collectively, I think with these AI tools, we can transform a lot of teachers as well as students' lives. So that, let me say thank you all very much.